Hey guys, it's Ryan from the Fifth Down again. This is just another quick little bit here for all the folks out there trying to do some podcasting. I call this one intermediate podcasting. It's just using a little bit more than an off-the-shelf podcast kit. So what I call this intermediate, it's pretty simple. We're not using any off-the-shelf stuff like such as a podcasting kit. Um, for about 150 $200 you can usually buy a kit that comes with a microphone, an interface, and some software, which is generally speaking all you need to do a podcast. But if you want to do anything fun like have guests and do Skype, etc., you can't do that. um, it's also intermediate because it assumes that you're willing to put in a little bit of effort to learn how to use some of this stuff. I tend to use I tend to prefer more outboard software. You don't have to. You can use I said software. You don't have to use outboard equipment the way I do. You can definitely use completely 100% software based, but I like to turn dials and push the sliders, and I trust my ear better than some software engineers' idea of what cutting a 2K frequency from a particular channel sounds like. And also, this is for everyone trying to achieve really great quality without going broke, basically. Audio equipment can be very expensive. I tend to use a lot of prosumer and some, on occasion, some consumer level stuff, but it all works relatively fine. This is going to be a relatively short video, I hope. Not doing nothing too crazy. Um, I eventually plan on posting another video with some more detailed stuff on how I do the Fifth Down podcast studio. Um, but for now, let's just go over some basics. So for software, you can use something like Audacity, which is free. It's open source. It's pretty cool, but uh, after a while, you find it lacking a little bit. Um, Next, you can use GarageBand, which is also free. It comes with OS 10, or if you don't have a newer Mac, I believe you can buy it in the Mac store for like $20 or something of the sort. Uh, Next, we have Logic Pro, which is a relatively decent app. It's kind of GarageBand's big brother. It's $200 in the Mac App Store. I've used it once or twice, and I don't really care for it. It's definitely better for making beats and things of the sort. And since I'm not really that kind of person, it was a waste of $200 for me. Next is Cubase LE. Cubase LE tends to come with a lot of USB audio hardware, especially audio interfaces. It's okay. It does the job. Um, and next, and not certainly not least, is Audition by Adobe. It's not free and it's not cheap. It's about $550, or you can subscribe to Creative Cloud for I believe $50 a month, and you that basically lets you use all of Adobe software. But since we're dealing with audio, uh, Audition is the one you'd be looking at. Audition is by far my favorite to use. It's very simple to use, and it's cross-platform. It's available Mac, Windows, and I believe Linux. So don't quote me on the Linux part. I've used it on Mac, as you can see, and I used it on Windows before. It works quite well. Gives It's very flexible, and so the learning curve, at least for what we are trying to achieve here, is not that steep. All right, so the minimum hardware is you need a microphone, preferably a condenser mic. I actually use a Behringer C1, but you can get crazy and you can do something like a Blue Yeti or a Heil PR40. Those are about $250 microphones, which I think is overkill, especially if you only do podcasting as a hobby the way we do. And at the very least, like I said, you need something like a USB to XLR adapter or an audio interface. Now, here's the fun setup. The more advanced setup that we use is a mixer with at least one auxiliary input, allows you to do a mix minus, which essentially is great for Skype because it means the person that you're talking to in Skype does not get a return. I should let me rephrase that. The person on Skype will hear everything that you put out to them minus their own voice. Hence why they call it mix minus. You can Google around or look on YouTube, and there's plenty of setups and demonstrations to show you how to set up a mix minus. It's very simple to do. It's not a it's not by any means rocket science. Uh, for mixers, you can usually do something like a Behringer. Again, it's kind of a low end prosumer type equipment. You can use their Xenix line or the Eurorack. I used to have a Xenix 1204 and I upgraded to a Eurorack UB 1222 FX or something like that. Also, Mackie and Yamaha make great mixers. Um, Also, I guess I should add this in there. The mixer, some of them have a USB port on them, which also acts as basically an audio interface, which is pretty good, especially if you prefer to do software-based recording instead of hardware-based recording. Next, you have a compressor. A lot of them come with a limiter and a gate built in. The way I really use these is I usually use the gate to basically remove all the background noise. So by remove all the background noise, what I mean is I set a minimum level or that the audio has to be before the gate will open to let your sound through. So if you have like a noisy apartment or you live near a busy street or things like that where you got a lot of background noise, by setting the gate so that the circuit closes or I guess opens, and basically the light turns red. It keeps a lot of that stuff out. I also use a limiter to pretty much make sure that no matter what it is that I'm putting through, uh, you know, whether it be from a microphone or from my iPad or whatever, it never goes past a certain volume, which just overall makes your entire production sound pretty clean. You can also use some compression. I use a very little bit of compression to just give it a little bit of a punchier radio sound to it. I also opted to get a preamp. A lot of research, and it seems that the consensus seems to be that a two preamp is the way to go. So that's why what I have a two preamp where my first two microphones go through that, and that just kind of warms up the voice a little bit. Just one thing to remember: if your mixer comes with a preamp built into it on the mic inputs, turn it all the way down. You don't want to add any extra gain. You can just basically have really crappy sounding audio. Also, an equalizer, completely optional. It basically is great for just getting rid of uh, getting rid of some trouble frequencies. So again, if you have things like an air conditioner, or in my case, I have an aquarium, and the pump has a little bit of a low hum to it. You use that just to try to remove that frequency from your mix, and it's in line with at least in my setup, it's in line with my compression. So that combined with my gate gives you some very clean sounding audio. And last but not least, um, a recording device. You can use something like a secondary sound card, and which they're about $5 on Amazon, maybe. You can use that to pump your audio back from your mixer back into your computer into a your choice of recording software. You can use a digital recorder, like the Adderall. I don't remember what the model numbers right off the top of my head, but Adderall makes a great one, and so does Roland. And there's also a relatively cheap and pretty much unheard of. I've never heard of them at least, but it gets the job done. Called an iKey RMS. It basically it's a rack mount recorder that lets you record to an SD card or to a hard drive or a flash drive, etc. in MP3 or WAV, and also you can choose between stereo and mono. It's what I use. I like it. I've used software-based solutions before, and on occasion I've had Audition crash during a show, and I've actually been fortunate enough to have Audition crash pretty much at the end of the show when I hit the stop record button, and I lost an entire show, which led me to doing things like getting a backup recorder, which is just a cheap field recorder with horrible audio quality, and spending literally about 45 minutes trying to make it sound decent. If you listen to some of our earlier shows, one or two of them uh, have been recordings based off of that backup recorder, and you can definitely hear the difference. And this is a very rough diagram of my setup here. I know it's by no means the prettiest thing in the world, but this is the general setup for our studio. Uh, it looks more confusing than it is. Everything is pretty much in line. It's the way I think of it is always an in to an out, and as long as you keep that in mind, everything works out pretty well. Well, guys, thanks for your time, and I will post the next video as soon as I have time.